This right here is one of the biggest problems with the CF Moto ATVs and the side-by-sides, in my opinion anyways. So this is a 2022 CF Moto C-Force 600 Touring. Beautiful machine. I've actually had this here for a service once, but I haven't seen it other than that. As you can see, I took out it had a little battery tender. I took that off. Like I said, if you look these machines over, drive them, they go really nice. They have the power steering. They have two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive. They got a diff lock. I really like all that stuff about it. And they're very competitive on the price versus the other machines when you consider all the accessories you get. But I've noticed this problem a lot on these machines. This machine won't run it right now. This is, like I said, it's a 2022, so it's only a couple years old, and it won't run. I don't know how many miles exactly is on it because the battery's dead, but the battery being dead is not the issue. We get other electrical problems. When I said that's one of the biggest problems with the CF Motos, that's what I mean, the electrical problems. Now, I got a ton of machines here, and I've tried all kinds of different parts. Most of the machines I work on are either Japanese or American, the Polaris and Canadian, I guess, the Can-Ams. If I have electrical issues, I have in the past tried eBay or Amazon with cheap Chinese electronics. And when I say electronics, I mean CDI units, starters, solenoids, wire and harnesses, everything. And every time I got one, the CDI boxes maybe not so much, but all the other stuff, the quality is just so bad. The Chinese parts, the solenoids seem to stick on. You know, I'll hook them up and they literally just stick on. I don't know if they're not meant to push that much juice or what, but they don't work good. The starters seem to get eaten up pretty quick, even the brand new ones. They'll work for a little while, but I mean, do you really want to chance it with one of these starters that's gonna fail eventually? You know, maybe I've just had bad luck, I don't know. But the wire and harnesses, I know that for a fact. I bought a wire and harness for a machine before, and the wires are not the same diameter. They're not the same gauge as the OEMs. A lot thinner wires. I'll never buy a Chinese wire and harness again. Now, when you buy these machines, these things are made in China. I mean, right there. So this whole unit is made in China. Now, I'm not saying these are horrible machines. I mean, they're actually pretty good. A lot of people are buying them now, but that's one big downfall to them is the electronics. So we'll see what's going on with this. I know a lot of people have problems with winches on these, which isn't a huge deal. A lot of people have problems with headlights. Just the wiring gets corroded very easily. They're not sealed good. I don't know. That's just my experience that I've seen with these CF Motos. I mean, if we just look this thing over, it's obviously been sitting a while. It looks like green mold almost. Must have sat under a tree or something. And they obviously don't take super good care of it. As you can see, it's plastered in mud. I hate getting machines that look like this because it's a pain to work on. You know, you got to deal with all the mud. Yeah. Oh, is that rust or probably just part of the caked on mud, I guess. But man, hopefully this is nothing too serious. I think I have an idea what's going on. It's either a couple different issues. So the owner said he'd go to start it sometimes and it would just click. And then sometimes it would start up, sometimes it wouldn't. Now it doesn't do anything. Obviously the battery's dead. I pulled that out, got it charging right now. Hooked a jump pack up to it. It still didn't even try to do anything. Anyways, let's go get that battery. Like I said, it's all charged up. We'll get it on this machine and see what we can find. All right. I will say, this is the battery. Obviously, it's CF Moto branded. I will say, I do like how they have the strap around here. Makes it easier to grab while it's in the machine. So that's pretty handy. Battery tender cable. Pull that rear seat off. And the front. And then it sits right in there. Now it is a tight squeeze to get it in here without removing this. If you just took out these 4 bolts, it would be very easy. But you can do it, just like so. We'll go ahead and hook our supporting strap up. Got 2 positive, 2 negative, because we have the winch cable. These are the winch cables here. This is the starting solenoid cable. Alright, I just leave everything. I get the solenoid loose. I get everything pulled out of there to get that battery out, and we'll just leave it. The way it is and not worry about putting it back to the right position until we figure out what's going on. There's a few different things that this could be. I'm really hoping we'll go right to the worst one, that the engine's locked up. I hope that's not the case. That's not my first guess. First guess is either a starter is bound up or the starter solenoid is finally quit on him, because he said it was clicking in the past and now it's not doing anything. So we'll find out. I do want to check the oil now that I say the engine's locked up. Really hope that's not the case. And I did see this was pulled off, so maybe he did check that. He didn't mention anything about the oil, but not super easy to get your fingers in there. Yeah, looks full. Looks full. I gotta get a rag. See, even this dipstick, I mean, it just looks so cheap. I don't know. It's just the small things like that. Okay, you know what? This is actually broke. That's why that was off. So this rubber tab here is supposed to sit in here and up here, but the plastic piece is broke up here. So that explains why that was hanging off. I didn't hook up his battery tender cable, but we'll make sure she runs first. Key on. Let's see, so we got 725 miles on it. It's not very many. I don't even know how to use anything here. There we go. 725 miles, and it's only got 41 hours on it. Alright, so the starter switch is right here. You have your kill switch is off. That is on, run mode. And then this is start. Not doing anything. I don't think you have to hold the brake on this, but we'll go ahead and engage it. Nothing. Doesn't seem to be dimming the headlight down. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to check for 12 volts, make sure our battery's fully charged. It should be. Battery voltage 12.15, actually a little on the low side, but plenty to start it. I got the negative hooked in there. Yep. So we'll go to the always on 12 volt side. We're good. And then this side, when you push the starter button here, it should put 12 volts to this wire across the solenoid, and then this is going to go right to the starter. So we're going to check 12 volts right here. Get that tied in. Gonna hit the button. Nothing. Almost thought I saw a little volts, but it's not doing anything. I'm gonna try to cross the solenoid, see if it starts. It should. Now, because we're not getting 12 volts across that solenoid into the starter, it's not trying to turn over at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and cross it over, see if it runs. I think it will, because we're not getting the power. If it does run, I'm going to bring it in the shop. So we still get the key switch on, we get this on run, and we're just going to cross over the two big power wires here, the positive wires. Make sure we don't hit any of the frame, even though it is painted black, so it shouldn't ground out. But we're going to go ahead, cross this. There she goes. So she's a runner. Obviously, we just have an issue with not getting 12 volts to the starter. So do we have bad wiring? We have good 12 volts here. Most likely we either get a failed starter solenoid or we have a failed switch and it's not putting the right juice right here. Definitely nothing wrong with that engine. That thing sounds great. I don't really need that. Yeah, we'll put it on. Just set that on there until we get her in the garage. I have not drove one of these things in quite a while, actually. I will say that they have nice gauges. The gauge is nice on this thing. I don't care for the switch or anything, but hey, it is what it is. These have, no, I thought it might have been a horn. Two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, differential lock. That's pretty nice. Put her in high. Our park and brake, get that off. No issues running wise. Power steering works good. Boy, this poor thing needs a bath. It really needs a bath. Shut her down. We know she runs, and she runs good. Might as well just get these seats off. Again. Seems like it's going to be a pretty easy fix, though. So like I said, it's either going to be up in the switch where you push the electric start button, the wiring down all the way to the starter solenoid. It could be a faulty starter solenoid. That's where we're going to check first, and then if we're not getting power there, we'll keep tracing up. So we'll get our negative back in here. Make sure we're getting a good connection. There we go. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to turn the ignition on, we're going to hit the start button, and we're going to check power right here. This is our 12 volts. Okay. So right here, check this main wire. This should be 12 volts right there. Yep, we got 12 volts. So the yellow and black, yellow and red, excuse me, should be 12 volts with the starter button pushed in. So we're going to hold that right there, watch this, and hit this. So hit that down. You can see it wasn't quite 12 volts because it's trying to work. So we're actually getting the right voltage here, and it's just not crossing over. So that means we got a bad starter solenoid. Now the green on the other side is just a ground. So we can do that as well. Hit that switch, and you can see same voltage. So we'll pull these out of here. We got a replacement solenoid we're going to be putting in there. Go ahead and shut that down. Well, that's going to be easy enough. We'll just replace the starter solenoid and then move on from there. I'll go ahead and remove the ground before I pull that solenoid, just for safety reasons. Get those out of there. Now we can disconnect this solenoid. We just push those little clips together and pull that out. We also want to check our connections, make sure they're not corroded. And I don't see any corrosion on those wires, so most likely it's just a failed starter solenoid. Obviously we want to check our fuse in there. It looks kind of funky, but we'll double check to make sure the fuse is good. Check our fuse. As you can see, the fuse is working fine. Zero's right out, so that means we have resistance side. It does look kind of funky, but we'll replace that. But there is no problems with the fuse. So faulty solenoid, pretty common on these. Just gonna take a 10 millimeter to remove the nuts. Whew, I can smell burnt electrical, probably because I was hitting that button and it was trying to, it was putting juice to the solenoid, but it wasn't working. It'll probably burn up inside. Although we got the nuts off there, we can just go ahead and pull the cables off. And we'll get that out of there. A little bit of rust on there, but not enough to cause any issues. Definitely warm. Like I said, I smell electrical. Hopefully it's this. Yeah. Yeah, definitely burnt electrical smelling. So we'll replace that. Alright, we're back. We got our replacement starter solenoid. Let's go ahead and throw that on, and this thing should fire up with the button. Just go ahead and sneak this in here. Get that on there. Now we'll get the starter side on. Make sure to put our covers back over. We'll get this plugged right in, just like so. And get everything back where it belongs. We'll hook up that negative wire and see if she fires up. Go ahead and tighten that down a little bit more. Let's see, ignition on. Well, do we have a faulty starter solenoid right out of the box? Exposed all the wires here again. Let's go ahead and check. Alright, let's check what's going on. We got 12 volts here. We're not getting 12 volts here. Pull this plug off. Nothing. Faulty right out of the box. Well, let's check out what's going on. This is the old one. This is the new one. Running like this. So on this old one, or both of them, you hook your always on 12 volt supply right from the battery to this side, and what that does is it transfers 12 volts to here. So this, there. Let me get that there. Let's see what's going on here. This terminal, this should go right over to here. It's a little hard with one hand, but yes, this is how it should work. So we're going to go right to here, to here. We got nothing. Yeah. Bad solenoid right out of the box. Alright, well, I actually got a used one kicking around, so we'll go ahead and try this out. Alright. Let's try the used one. Well, the used solenoid didn't work either. To show that it is a solenoid problem, so this is the original solenoid on it. So it's a 4-pin solenoid, as you can see. Your main terminals here. These two right here are the trigger coils, and then there is a separate 12-volt supply that goes to the ignition. So what we're going to do, I have a 2-wire coil hooked up right here, as you can see. So what I did right here, I have a 2-wire, this is a known good coil off a Yamaha Grizzly 660 I have, but they operate on the same basic principle. You put 12 volts to the trigger coil, and it opens this up, and it transfers 12 volts from here to your starter wire. So I went ahead and made some jumpers here for the starter solenoid. As you can see, they have the pins just like that 4-pin one. So we're going to put this in here. This side is going to be your negative. So we're going to put that on the green pin here on the harness. Now this one is for the positive trigger coil. So I'm going to put that over here on the yellow and red. This machine right here on this big thick red wire, that needs 12 volts all the time for your ignition. So we're going to put that right here So I just wrapped the wire around this. This is 12 volts all the time, right from the battery. Now we're going to hook this into the red prong here. Just like that. Make sure that's wrapped around there good. Now this is just temporary to show that it is the solenoid. It should fire right up. Go ahead, turn the ignition on. Our lights are lighting up here. And now we hit the starter button. There you go. Solenoid works fine, that 2-prong one. Shut her off, start her back up. So definitely the issue. Obviously, we gotta get another 4-prong starter solenoid and then we should be good to go. So obviously it ended up being something pretty simple, something pretty inexpensive. Unfortunately, that new one they sent me didn't work, so we're going to have to get a replacement on that. I got it working for now on that 2-prong one. We're going to fix it the right way, put the right starter solenoid in there, but this is working for now. I still got to put a plow on this thing. We'll give it a little test run to make sure she's good to go other than the starting issue, and yeah, we'll go from there. That just goes to show you, 2021, so it's only a few years old, 700 miles on it, hardly any hours, 40 hours or something, very low like that. And the starting solenoid already went on it. Not a huge deal, but still goes to show you that it's a common problem too. It's not like this is a one-off. It's a very common problem that I'm seeing on these CF motos. So I don't know, take it how you will. To me, the electronics on these things are just made very, very cheaply, and you're always going to have a problem with them unless they come up with some higher quality parts for these. Go ahead. That winch is out, probably because the battery was dead. Oh, do we not work? Oh no, that's right. That was my bad, because I was just temporarily hooking everything up. I never did end up hooking that winch cable up. I was just mainly focused on the starting problem. So yeah, that's why that winch isn't working. But let's hop on this thing again and I'll give you my thoughts. Let's get on her, give her a little test here. So first thing, I don't care for the seat. I don't know. It's kind of stiff. It feels very flat and stiff. It is what it is. Seat's only part of the issues here. Tool drive. This is the big thing I do not like on any of the CF motos I've tried out so far, whether it be the side-by-sides or the ATVs, and it's got a wicked delay in engagement. The clutching is not good on this thing. 725 miles, shouldn't have any issues yet, but it just feels super sluggish, which is not true because this thing does have some power when you get her opened up a little bit, but we're still cold right now, so we're not going to hammer on it. The power steering I like. It's aggressive power steering, which means to me, which means it's got very light steering, such as a Polaris, but it works very good as far as you don't get a lot of feedback in the steering wheel or handlebars. Would I buy a CF moto? Oh, that's the question. My answer would be yes, I would buy one, because I buy anything and everything. I like all machines. I do like these. There's a lot I don't like about them. There's a lot I like about them. As far as the price, I love the price they advertise. I hate the price that they are when you go to buy it. So I was actually in the market for a CF Moto 400 because of the price. It was very cheap. I think it was like $4,800. I think it was, got an oil jug. I think the CF Moto 400 ATV went for like $4,800, $4,899 maybe or something. Oh, something dragged it out here. We've had some bear around here, but they're probably all getting out of here now. But $4,899 for the 400. That does not have the power steering or anything, and that's a great deal. and then you go read the fine print, or sometimes you don't even have to. Sometimes they don't even say it on the fine print. You just you start researching them, or you talk to the dealer, and oh yeah, come on in, and then you end up paying that $48.99 ends up being almost $7,000 out the door. That's ridiculous. I mean, I get their sales tax, but sales tax on $4,800, we got 6% here in Vermont. That's a long ways away from that price. What it is you end up paying, well, $4,600. Well, $5,000 would be $300, so it should be less than $300 on the sales tax. You should be around $5,000 or so. That's not the case. They tack on, I think it was $800 or $895 for shipping fees for whatever to get them to their dealership, apparently. And then they tack on setup, prep, all kinds of stuff, and it ended up being almost $2,000, which is crazy. I bought plenty of new machines before. Yamahas, Polarises. Oh, bunny. No, partridge. Yeah, Yamahas, Polarises. I bought a Grizzly brand new. I bought a Sportsman 570 brand new. I bought a Sportsman 850 brand new. A Razor 800 Trail. A Razor XP 1000. And you know what? I never paid any type of setup, prep, anything. I paid MSRP on most of them. The Grizzly, I got a really good deal because it was leftover. I only paid $7,000 out the door on that thing with sales tax. So I got a great deal on that. That was with the power steering, but that was back in 08. Now this thing's pretty low on fuel. I just don't understand all the fees. It doesn't make sense. So I'm going to tell you right now, this thing feels super sluggish. Like, you just touch the gas and you're like, am I on a 300, a 325, something like that? Like I said, you get it up to, get the RPMs up and it opens up. It's just not, and I don't know, it's got a very big delay. I hate the clutching on these. A lot of people complain about them, and I hate to even mention it because it's something everybody complains about, but it is what it is. It's just not good. Feel that? Like, when I give it a little bit more throttle, it just like, it's not a smooth engagement, and then it's like, it jumps a little bit. Not good. But you get onto it, you know, and you got some power. You know you're on a 600 at that point. But yeah, what I was getting at is all these other manufacturers aren't charging maybe they are now, I don't know. If they are, I wouldn't buy one. It's ridiculous. You advertise, you know, a price on your machine, you should take it. Obviously there's sales tax. Obviously there might be some document fees, I guess. I've never paid them, but it should not be more than a couple $100 over list. But it is. They're charging huge money on these things. This machine right here, I think, was around $6,000, $6,100, $6,200, somewhere in there. And you know what? I think, ooh, I didn't like that. Well, another problem I don't like. So, it looks like there's a lockout pin for your park. I don't know. I think that's probably operated on the foot, but it doesn't work. It's not going over. It's like locked out. Unless the key, maybe. That might be it. It doesn't make sense why it would be locked out in gear, though. But either way, I wanted to try out low range, so take it lives there. I didn't like how it. I'm gonna go ahead. We're in gear now. Seems like it's grabbing pretty good. But yeah, so I went to buy that, and it was just outrageous. No matter what dealer I dealt with, there was one dealer down in, I think it was Connecticut, which is quite a ways away from me, 5 hours south of here. And they advertised a great price, out the door price. If you paid cash, it said, cash sale. So I called them to make sure, and they never called me back. there was a place where you could text them. So I ended up texting them, and then they got back to me, and they wanted me to come down. I said, well, I want a true out-the-door price. I'm bringing cash. I'll just buy it. And they wouldn't give it to me. Well, come down, make sure you like the machine and all that. I said, I know I want one. And they kept arguing with me. And then come to find out, they were going to charge setup, prep. It took me like 2 days to get a price out of them. I wasn't going down there without a price. And they finally gave me one. And yeah, their price was, it was better than everybody else that I dealt with, but there was no way I would ever buy from them just because of the sneaky tactics. They tried to get me to come down, and I'm 5 hours away. That's a 10-hour trip there and back. There's no way. And then it ended up being, I'll tell you about this full drive in a second. It ended up being like $1,500 over the list price, so it was still $6,000, somewhere in there. It was crazy. Two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive. You come here, it's similar to a Yamaha Grizzly. It looks a little different, but similar. You lock it all the way over and then pull that out, and now we got true all-wheel lock. I like that feature. It should crawl up this, no problem, because we got all four wheels locked. And I gotta tell you, actually, oh yeah, just climbed up that easy. This is the Touring, so it's extended frame, so you do get really good traction on stuff like that. But I gotta tell you, all four wheels locked. I feel a little resistance, but not much. Right here, you can that much turning, you don't notice it at all. But you go to turn more than that, and you start feeling the resistance. But that's four-wheel lock, so the power steering is certainly doing. The power steering's working how it should. Look at the fuel gauge. We had a empty light here a second ago, and now it shows almost half a tank. Was it stuck? Like the float stuck in there? Possibly. I don't know. I'm going to take it out of all-wheel lock, and I'm actually going to take it out of full drive, put it back in two-wheel. And I'll probably complain more on the prices. It just irritated me. Alright, so we went right into high. I'm going to go ahead and try to get into low again. No. Man, I don't like that. You got to kind of rock it. So low range. Now there's back to empty. What if I feather the throttle? No. Okay, I'm not a big fan of that. I don't know. Maybe it's out of adjustment a little bit. I don't know. I'm not even going to try that anymore. I don't like grinding gears, so I'll look at that. Try to adjust it a little bit. But, I don't know. Maybe that's a CF Moto thing. It might be this machine. I don't know. But, yeah. So this thing was like, I think it's low 6,000s. Probably more now. Probably closer to 7. Because this is a few years old now. But back when this was new, in 2021, it might have been 59. I don't know. It was a good deal for everything you get with the power steering, a true two-up machine. You get the winch, you get all kinds of goodies on this thing. It was a good deal. But you end up paying almost $8,000 for this thing out the door. I think he got this for like $7,500 or something. Still not horrible, but when you tack on all that extra, I'd rather buy a different brand. Something that's well known. These might be well known in China or overseas, but in the States, they're just becoming popular now. And I don't know. The resale value on these things is horrible. You end up paying, say you pay $8,000 for this. Well, for one, the MSRP is only, say it's 62. You paid 8. Nobody's going to pay you anywhere over MSRP for a used machine. So as soon as you take this off the lot and you put a couple miles on it, you lost like $2,000, $1,500 right off the bat. I don't know. Maybe there's somebody that would take that consideration and buy it for more than MSRP because they know they'd have to pay the freight and setup and all that junk. but I would never pay that. I don't know. You know, if I found this machine for like $4,000, that would be a good deal, used with 700 miles on it, and I'm seeing them for that every now and then. Most of the time these are posted for like $5,000. It's not a great resale for a couple year old machine, 700 miles on it. If you're going to keep this thing forever and you want to save a few bucks and you like the machine, go ahead and buy it. You got great engine braking. We'll come down this hill and I'll show you. No brakes being applied at all. Slows down very good. And we're in high range. So the engine braking does work great. My hands are like wrinkled up and frozen. It's pretty cold out this morning. We're supposed to get some snow. I'm surprised we don't have snow right now, but we're supposed to get some snow here in a week or so. Maybe a few days, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Would I buy one of these? I would for the right price, but I would never buy one new unless I could get it for MSRP. You know, the $6,200, I would definitely consider that. $8,000, I would never consider. No. Maybe if it was $8,000 is what they listed it for from the factory. But I don't know. I find it ridiculous. And I'm done ranting on that because I keep repeating myself, but it just irritates me after I tried to buy one. Anyways, yeah, we're probably just low on fuel. When we were going uphill, it kind of went up. So probably just low on fuel. The gauge is probably working okay. But I'm going to get this thing back. I'm going to look into the low range. I got to put a plow on this. He wanted a plow installed. He brought one. So I'm going to put that on there. And then the brakes, I will say the brakes are like fabulous on this thing. You hit them. It's kind of weird being on the right side here. Just because I'm used to, if I only have one brake lever, there's nothing over here. If I only have one brake lever on the Polaris and the Can-Am, it's always on the left side. The right side is strange, which I get it because if you're on something with a clutch, your clutch is over here, so it makes sense to put the brake over here, but I'm just not used to it, so it is what it is. I'm sure you get used to it and you'll probably love it. You can actually run this thing one-handed and use the brake and the throttle. When you have a brake over here and not over here, you have to run two hands, which you should be running two hands anyways, but you do have a foot brake for your rear. Like I said, I don't hate the machine. I kind of like it, and I really thought about getting one. And then, I don't know, that idea faded away, so I went after the 400. It is what it is. I'm not going to buy one now. But a lot of electrical problems is what I'm seeing on these things. So just beware. If you buy one, you may face that. What you could do to prevent some of this stuff is go right through the harness, pull all your connectors out, put de-electrical grease in there, and that should help quite a bit. But I really like the lights in the back. Looks pretty sharp. And you know, for a single cylinder, it actually sounds pretty good. I know I'm talking a lot, but it's got a nice throaty sound to it. 2-inch receiver, that's good. There's a lot of good things about it. You know, this machine came with the little storage box up here too, so that's a nice thing, especially for the price point. But like I said, no, I'm not talking about that. We got looks like we got a 12-volt power supply and then some USB ports, which is strange but pretty handy if you want to charge your phone up. I'm gonna get this thing back. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you on the next one.